Hey Google, let's get the show started.
Welcome to Questions and Alan. Here's your host, Alan Furstenberg.
Hey there, I'm Alan, and I'm here to discuss your questions about designing and developing actions for the Google Assistant. Hey Google, what's today's question?
Here's a good one if you're just getting started. For conversational actions, what tools can people use?
This is a good question. So there are lots and lots of tools that are out there and that you can use, but when you're getting started, you're probably going to be focusing on two particular tools. So the first one we touched on a little bit before, and that is the Action Console. This is where you're going to set up your project. This is going to be where you configure a bunch of things, including what voice you're going to use, the name of your action, and some information for the directory for how people are going to find it if they want to. The other tool is how you're actually going to do the bulk of your work, and this is a tool called Dialogflow. Now in Dialogflow, what you'll be able to do is set up what we refer to as intents, and these intents contain the phrases that we're expecting people to say during your action. In other words, they are the conversation part of the conversation tool. These intents will then let you take action based on what they've said, and you'll be able to determine the replies and stuff like that. And all of that is pretty complicated. We'll be getting into those other times, but Dialogflow is the best place to start when you're just learning to develop your actions. Hey Google, you want to guess how much all of this is going to cost?
I'm going to guess they're free.
That's right! They're free! They're free! They're free! Free! So there is no specific cost for most users of Dialogflow or for using the Action Console. Now, when you start getting really heavy uses, Dialogflow may start to care, but when you're getting started, don't worry about that part, honest. Now, you are going to need to set up what we call fulfillment, and fulfillment does require a server, and this is going to be where you execute your business logic. This is where you turn it from just a conversation with a robot into a conversation with something that understands what they're saying and takes action on it. So this is where you'll turn these intents, figure out what they're asking, and Dialogflow helps a lot with that, and turn this into the replies based on whatever logic you want to apply to it. Now, to do this fulfillment, Dialogflow does provide something they call the Inline editor, and this lets you edit JavaScript and be able to provide that all within the Dialogflow environment itself. There are things you need to know about using that inline editor, but that's the basics. Hey Google, is there anything else about the inline editor I should make sure they know at this point?
Well, they don't have to use it, do they?
No, you don't have to use the inline editor. The inline editor is just convenient for when you're getting started. But if you're not going to use JavaScript, or if you have your own server already, then you can use it. Now, it does need to be a public HTTPS server. And by public, I mean it's something that Google can get to. It's not hiding on your network somewhere that only you can get to. And when I say HTTPS, it does need to be a non-self-signed SSL certificate. So there are a couple of caveats, but in general, it's easy to find these sorts of things. Things like Google Cloud Function, Firebase Cloud Function, even AWS. All of these are out there to help you do what you need. Now, usually when you're doing this, you're going to need a library as well. There are libraries that are available for JavaScript and for Java. And if you're using another language, there are some public libraries out there as well. Or you just need to parse JSON, because what these are going to do is hand you a chunk of JSON, and you need to reply back with a chunk of JSON. If you've got a library, that helps it out somewhat, but you don't really need to use the library. And again, all of this stuff are stuff that we'll be talking about over time. Hey Google, did I cover everything?
There have to be more tools than that, right?
Well, yes. Oh goodness, there are plenty more tools than that. These are just the first ones to get started. There are tools that will help you design your conversation. There are tools that help your conversation sound really good. The libraries themselves are tools, and we'll be talking about each bits of these as we go along. If you've got questions, of course, if you're already using a library and you've got specific questions, feel free to reach out to me and ask. Hey Google, now have I covered everything?
Just a reminder that all the documentation is at https://developers.google.com/assistant. But I think that's enough for now. Say goodnight, Alan.
Good night, Alan.